All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another session with the Digital Media Workshop. Today, we'll be talking about email marketing tactics, and then specifically how to build newsletters that can build brand loyalty. So, as we kind of continue the discussion around really your marketing digitally to your customers, today we'll be focusing on email marketing and walking through some different tactics. And then to open up the discussion, what I would like to do first is to kind of do a quick little interactive survey. So if everyone has, if everyone can quickly just open up their web browser and go to mentimeter.com, and then if you enter the user code 10053027, it'll bring you to a survey. So I'll leave this on the screen for just a second for everyone to get to. So it's tied so far. Okay, 15. Okay, give it just another second. Okay, $2, okay. I'll give it just another moment for a few more responses. But this question will kind of set the set the basis for the rest of the discussion. Okay, so the answer was $38. So on average, for every dollar spent, you're getting $38 back when you're investing in email marketing, which kind of is a great indicator of just how much return on an investment there is when you're actively using email marketing as a tool. What's generating all of this traction? What's creating this return on investment? So email marketing is the use of email within your marketing efforts to promote your business's products, services, as well as incentivize customer loyalty. So I'm sure all of us has received some type of email marketing in the past, whether good or bad. There's definitely a lot of different techniques, but it's a great way to kind of engage with your customers and any prospects as well. So why is email marketing so important for your business? Well, some major points here is that it's still the most effective way to nurture leads and boost customer loyalty. And there's a few reasons for that. One, it's the most popular and number one communication channel. 99% of customers check their email on a daily basis. So you have a large user base to tap into when it comes to email. And then even more importantly, the conversion rate. Not only do you reach a lot of people, but the conversion rate is actually extremely high when reaching out to emails. So people who buy products marketed through emails spend 138% more than those who don't receive emails. So you're more likely to purchase or invest in a brand or a company, the more likely you hear of them via email. So if you're communicating to your prospects, to your customers on the right type of frequency and the right type of basis, you have a better opportunity to engage them in actually converting into an actual customer and creating a sale. So again, just kind of reiterating the importance of email marketing and how it can play such a significant role in your marketing efforts. Okay. So when to use email marketing? So if it's a great opportunity and it's most advantageous when you're looking to build relationships. So whether you're building relationships with your customers, prospects, whoever they may be, building relationships is a great way to use email marketing. Boosting brand awareness is another great way to use email marketing as well. So if you're looking to amplify your brand, reach a different customer base, or just really kind of expose your brand or your company more, email marketing is another great way. Promotion of content. So if you have new content that's coming out or has been recently released, notifying your community via email is another great way to use that. And then also generating leads. If you use call to actions in the right way and you have a new product launch or you have a new feature or event that's coming out, generating leads is a great way to do that as well through email marketing. Marketing your products, of course. So if you're a business or a company that sells product, marketing it through your email marketing is another great tool for that. And then lastly, nurturing leads. So if you've established a lead and you're looking to build that customer loyalty, email marketing is a great tool to do that as well. So just some more benefits to email marketing as well. So some interesting statistics here, 3.8 billion email users worldwide. So that really just speaks to just how many email users there are that you can tap into with email marketing, just to kind of show the broad reach that email marketing can have. And then also, email marketing is 40 times more effective than Facebook and Twitter combined. So when speaking specifically to conversion, email marketing is a higher conversion rate than. And then lastly, 66% of customers who receive an email, an email marketing communication will eventually make a purchase. So if you're communicating to your email marketing consumers and your leads, you'll convert 66% of them over time. So again, just another based on different studies and statistics. So it just really shows the importance and the effectiveness of email marketing. So I'm going to do now is walk you through a few ways to get started. So within each of these different steps, I'm also going to highlight a few different examples. So it gives you not only the context, but some examples on how different companies are using their email marketing. And then we'll get into how to measure it and then actually how to write it. So the first step when actually launching your first campaign and really getting started on email marketing is to define your audience. It's a very important step, and it's also a very relevant one because you want to make sure you understand who your audience is. You want to be able to understand what their needs are and then how you can tailor how you communicate to them based on those needs. So one great step to take first is to build a buyer persona, to really dive into who your audience is and then really what are the specific ways you could communicate to them that would give you the most engagement and resonate the most with them through your campaign. And here we've included an example of a marketing campaign here by Charity Water. So here the marketing campaign was really around donation progress, but you can see here kind of how it was built out. And in this case, the audience is really built around more of a philanthropic end and also understanding where the progress is in their donations. So you can see in the way they kind of created their email, they highlighted some of the progress that's being made, where that funding is going to, and then what their overall project trajectory is. So really kind of comprehensive example of an email. So yeah, first step, define your audience. Okay. Your second step is to establish your goals. So with your campaign, you want to make sure you're making measurable, but also relevant goals. So the first thing you should do around building your campaign is also doing some research. So understand what are some of the main statistics, drivers, or information that's out there when it comes to major KPIs for email marketing, and then understand how you can then use those as benchmarks to make sure that your goals are both reachable, realistic, and relevant to your business. So there's tons of statistics and measures out there that break it down not only by geography, but also by your business type. So here we've included a few different examples here. So for the open rate, so how often your email is actually opened by a consumer or by your audience, consumer products is at 17%. And then all the way at the other end of the spectrum, you see nonprofit at 24%. So these are some of the statistics and different types of information you want to look into as you're building campaigns so that you're very thoughtful when you're trying to establish your goals. Then also looking here, you'll see click-through rate, which is another key metric as well that looks through how often is within your email are folks actually clicking on your call to action. And in this case here, you see consumer products is at about 4%, and then industrial manufacturing at about 5%, IT services 5%, things of that nature. So again, these are key statistics, and we'll actually get into more detail on what some of these statistics are and actually define all of them for you later in the presentation. But again, these are information you're going to want to research in advance to understand how you specifically should be benchmarking and establishing your goals for your campaign. So the next step is then to create ways for people to actually sign up. So before you can even begin to garner, develop an email list, you're going to have to first create ways in which they can actually subscribe to your email. So the way you do that is by making sure you've included multiple ways for them to opt in within your email. So here we've created or included rather an example of another company here where their marketing campaign was around their new product. But if you can see throughout the course of their email, they have different they have different points in which they have links that allow you to subscribe or opt in. So again, it's a really great tool to kind of organically build your email list by just being more creative and also intentional about the way that you write your email so that you're enticing, but also giving your audience as much opportunity as possible to subscribe. That way you have them on your email list. So as you build your email following over time, you're reaching more and more people. So just as important as building your audience and establishing your goals, creating multiple ways to actually for them to sign up is an important tool as well so that you can actually build your list. And then the next one is really finding the right campaign type. So this is a really important step because you want to make sure that you first research and look into all the different types of campaigns. I know, and since we've been kind of going through this in different examples, we've seen different campaigns like new product launch, donation status. Here we see a subscription anniversary. So you want to make sure you're looking at the different types of campaign, identifying what those are, and then based on your audience, really break down and understand which ones are most advantageous for your audience. This actually gets to a really important step as well. You want to make sure that you're also creating different lists. So now that you're aggregating and creating more lists and you have more individuals, you want to make sure that you're also breaking those lists down by type and incorporating new information along the way. So understanding when your audience is signing up so that you can give them an anniversary note like this one here when it's a year after they've subscribed. Also, you have customers that might be interested in certain products. So if you're a business that offers athleisure wear, but also more formal wear, and you sell clothing, you might want to break down the list by their interests or what they've indicated or what they've purchased in the past. You might want to break down lists by folks that are reoccurring customers or folks that are new prospects. That way, as you're communicating them through different campaign types, the campaigns that you're sending to them are relevant because the biggest way to make sure you're keeping your folks engaged with your emails and consistently subscribing, you want to make sure that the emails that they're receiving are relevant. That way you're continuing to give them information that's engaging, that they're keeping up to date, but audiences will quickly be deterred from following your emails or even worse, opting out in the event they're receiving emails that are not relevant. So creating different types and groupings for your subscribers is important as well. And then also choosing the right campaign to apply to them is just as important as well. So the next step here is to make a schedule. After you've developed your campaign types, you have your audience, you have your goals in place. You want to make sure that you're creating the right schedule, and a lot of it has to do with how often you want to email them, right? How often you want to email your email lists, depending on the grouping and the different types of your subscribers. The consistency might range, but what you want to make sure you're doing is that you're communicating with them upfront about how often they should expect an email from you. That way, they have a better understanding of the consistency and they have an understanding of when to expect that email, but also you build more trust and relevance with your actual consumers, prospects, and subscribers. So being transparent about how often you'll communicate, developing that schedule in advance, really doing some research to understand how often you should be reaching out, and then also making sure that the content they receive is relevant to them. So building that schedule is very important. So whether it's a weekly newsletter where you do some spotlights of different customers or even your own employees, you can establish that on a Thursday. If you want to contact them every Friday just on new products and different offerings or sales, you can do that as well. But making sure you're communicating in advance, giving them a notice, and also making sure it's relevant is very important. And here is just an example of another campaign around product renewal. And this is just another brand, Warby Parker, and showing how they've used their emails in different ways. So you can see here a lot of different tactics from call to action, multiple ways to select, and also multiple ways to subscribe. So just another good campaign example here. You want to make sure that you're measuring your results. And I can't emphasize this enough, but it's just as important to build and create your emails as it is to actually measure them, because you won't know actually how well you're performing or what you can be doing better until you actually look and reflect on the results of your email campaigns. So staying on top of key metrics will enable you to actually make those small changes to your emails that can actually yield you better results. So, we'll get into A/B testing a little later that really dives into this in more detail, but making sure that as you're creating your emails, that you're also tracking the performance of them to understand, okay, I understand that my weekly newsletter on Tuesday is my highest performer. I should look at the certain ways I'm using my emails in that capacity and apply them moving forward. Or you might realize that the way you're communicating with certain imagery is not as effective as others. So you want to make sure that you're actually paying attention to those details and continuing to measure your results so that you're improving your emails more and more with each one. And then that way you're building more relevance and more trust in your subscribers. So next we're going to step into actually building that email list. So we've talked about, how to get started, and now really getting more into detail about how do you actually create a longer email list so you're actually reaching more and more folks. All right, so we're going to start with using a lead magnet. A very important element here, and really just to kind of define it to start, is that think of it as an element that you include within your email that will attract a prospect to actually subscribe to your email list. Because sending them emails without subscribing will not enable you to grow your email list and then grow your subscribers and then try to automate it. So the way that you get folks to actually subscribe in your email, and one tactic in particular, is to actually include some type of free offering. So a lead magnet is really giving some type of offering, most of the time it's free, as a way in exchange for them to subscribe to your email. So examples of that can be an ebook, a white paper. You can offer them a tool, a report. If you're kind of doing webinars, or you're more in the educational or training space, a webinar, an infographic, a sale offering, buy one get one free. Things like that are great ways to use lead magnets as a way to actually build them into your subscriber base. So it's just another tactic I want to make sure we emphasize here, so that as you're getting started with your email marketing and you're looking to grow that subscriber base, having lead magnets offering special rewards or incentives is a great way to actually build that subscriber base up. So I'd encourage everyone to kind of experiment with that a little bit, and then also find the right magnet that's more reflective and more relevant to your brand or business. Some of these examples might work, some of them might not, but I would encourage everyone on the call to be creative in kind of what they can do in a creative way to kind of draw people into subscribing. And then next would be also to make sure that your opt-in form is creative and enticing. Certain opt-in forms could be very generic and look like a really basically like a form, but the more creative and enticing you get with your opt-in form, the more likely folks are willing to actually sign in. So here's just an example of a great opt-in form here, where you see there's a very compelling headline. You have a very motivating kind of lead magnet here, where we talk about the potential quiz and then what it can do for you and what are the strengths. And then lastly, it engages you in a unique way and then promises you some type of value. So it really kind of loops in all the different elements of a quality opt-in and gives you the opportunity to get the information you need to have a subscriber, but also do it in a creative way that offers something in return. So here's just kind of another creative way to also not only have a lead magnet, but have an opt-in form that can entice users to follow it, include it, but also provide their information so they could subscribe. Okay, so the next step here is how to send emails. So one thing I would encourage is to actually look into different email marketing platforms. There's a lot of tools out there, too much to actually include all in one slide. So what we've done here is tried to highlight a few that we're familiar with. Some of these platforms we actually use today, and some ones that we know some of our clients or business partners have used in the past. So we would encourage you to look into different marketing platforms as a way to really house and execute all of your email marketing needs. Mailchimp, for example, is a great one that allows you to not only use templates to create your emails, but also gives you the opportunity to actually track the statistics afterwards as well. And then you have other platforms like HubSpot, which is really more of like a CRM tool in entirety, but it allows you to do email marketing as well. And then you can link it to other types of marketing, so you can kind of see the cross-sectionality of how your marketing on email is compared to another marketing effort that you might have in social media. So HubSpot allows you to kind of create a bridge to connect all of your marketing efforts together, but also it has templates and analytics as well. And then lastly, Sendinblue is a great platform where it allows both email marketing, but also text marketing. So if you're interested in not only doing email, but text as well, Sendinblue is a platform that can kind of do both as well. So these are just some examples of platforms to check out, look into, and really take the time to explore which ones are best for you. You might find that some of them might be a little more user friendly, but I would look into them. Most of them, I think the ones here, each of them have a free trial or free option. And then as you use the platform more and as you feel more confident, you can move into a more paid or premium plan where you can get access to more features. But I would encourage you to check each of them out, experiment, see which one works for you best. But all of them kind of give you the fundamentals of everything you'll need to get started. So after you've selected that platform, the next is really to create a great email. We've talked about everything in establishing the right type of format, goals, all of those things. Now it's time to actually craft that first email. And so there's a lot of key components we want to focus in on. The first one is copy. You want to make sure that the copy, so the language that's in the body of your email, is as consistent with your brand voice and is also as concise as can be. You want to make sure that you're sticking to one topic, but also that you're consistent in your tone and the voice that you use within your brand. So really focusing in on concise to the topic copy will give you the best opportunity to establish an effective email that can lead to conversion. Also, imagery is extremely important. So making sure that the images that you select are not only optimized for your device, so whether it's mobile, desktop, but also that they're bold. Bold imagery and relevant imagery are going to make sure you have the best opportunity to entice your prospects, your audience, and get them to convert as well. And then most importantly, really, well, not most importantly, but another factor as well is definitely your call to action. So every email should have great copy, great imagery, but also include a call to action to some degree, whether that's to subscribe, whether that's to direct you to your website or direct you to a sale or a promotion. You want to make sure that you have a call to action that's very clear and bold as well, and making sure that the offer you're giving is very relevant to the audience. So again, going back into creating different email lists, you're going to have subscribers that are new customers, subscribers that are reoccurring customers, people that haven't bought anything yet. You want to make sure that the calls to action that you're creating are unique to them, but also very direct so that you're leading them in the right way. And as the more relevant you are, the better chance you have of creating a sale. Then also responsiveness. Your email should be optimized for all devices. So there's statistics out there that kind of show you or lend you to what are the best times. Typically, a lot of success is given when emails are a little earlier in the day, around 10, 11 a.m. So really think about what is some of the best times you can send your email to make sure you're getting the most responsiveness you can get, and making sure also that you're creating it in a format that's usable to all devices. I think there's a statistic out there that 55% of the emails that are looked at are first looked at on a mobile device. So you want to make sure that the emails you're creating are ones that are very easy to read on mobile. So different platforms like Mailchimp, for example, give you the opportunity to look at your email that you've drafted, not only as how it might look on desktop before you send, but also how it might look on your mobile. That way you're looking at it in both ways to make sure that the formatting is right, that everything looks clean and clear, and so that from a responsiveness perspective, you can ensure folks are actually able to respond, read it, and also hopefully convert as well. And then also you want to make sure there's some level of personalization. You want to make sure that your audience feels reflected, represented, and connected with your brand. So by making sure you're addressing the reader in a familiar tone, the better you are. So almost think of it like as talking to them as though they're a close friend of yours, making sure that the language is inviting, comfortable, familiar, so that this email doesn't come off too much of a solicitation and more of a real connection and a direct message, if you will. And then lastly, your subject line. You want to make sure that your subject line is very clear, actionable, enticing, and also personalized. So similar to kind of how we talked about shaping language, you want to make sure that the subject line is also very, very clear and actionable, and it will also improve your opportunity to get a higher open rate. So creating subject lines that are actually more relevant are a great way to kind of drive that open rate and then hopefully that click-through rate as well. So these are just some of the key elements of creating a great email. So the last part about actually drafting the email is the compliance. So just like a lot of other things, there's also some regulations that are relevant to emails as well, and I want to make sure that everyone's aware of. So I've listed a few key ones here on the screen to the left of the side. The compliance, all of the compliance ones are really built around making sure that the emails are relevant to the user. So your emails can get flagged if they're marked as something that's to solicitation, or also something that your email subscribers did not necessarily opt into. So tactics to maybe avoid getting flagged for some of these different compliance issues is to making sure that you're using language that does not come off as spam or solicitation. So things like too much capitalization, too many explanation points, uh, too much too much wording that's like click here, opt in here. Language like reducing the use of language like that or characters like that will improve your chances of not getting flagged by these different compliance measures, and also your spam filters as well. So a lot of this is again built around the fact that email subscribers or people who are receiving emails should only be receiving them if they've opted into or if they have choice. So making sure that you're creating your emails in a way, again, that's familiar and doesn't use too many characters like exclamation points and things like that will give you better options or better chances to not be flagged by these various regulations. So I want to make sure that you keep that in mind as well as you're building your emails, so that you have the best chance for your emails to actually hit your audience's inbox and then hopefully lead to a conversion. So another key element is, now that you've sent your emails, you want to make sure that you're measuring them. So we're going to get into exactly how to measure that performance. So the first step is A/B testing. I know we've talked about the A/B testing in the context of social media in the past, but it's just as applicable here. You want to make sure that you're testing different types of emails and to different audiences, and then kind of seeing what resonates, what works, and what's not working. So, grouping your audiences by whether it's, different type of customer, whether they are a recurring customer or a new customer, breaking down the way you might use your different language and call to actions. So if you use call to actions that are extremely direct with a large button versus more another call to action that might be a little more subtle, breaking down and grouping these different testings as you're marketing is a great way to kind of figure out what's actually working. And then from there, you can understand how they're performing and then optimize over time. So I would really encourage everyone to, as they're building emails, to also keep in mind A/B testing. So your first email, track it, mark it down, see what kind of language you use there, and then try to experiment with a different kind in the next email. And then from there, kind of see how the two compare, how they performed, and then based on those results, see how you can optimize or maybe leverage a certain strategy more than another. So again, we really encourage you to use A/B testing as you're trying to measure and figure out how your email campaigns are actually performing. And next is to really set and monitor your email marketing KPIs. There's a lot of KPIs out there, but we wanted to highlight a few very important ones. The first is really deliverability. And deliverability is the rate at which emails actually reach your intended subscribers' inboxes. So this goes back to keeping in mind all of the different regulations and making sure that you're using and crafting the right language to avoid those spam filters. So the KPI of deliverability is a direct indication of that. So this is a great statistic to monitor. So again, different platforms like Mailchimp, an example, have these built into their platform. So as you're sending emails and you click on that for performance, you can quickly see what your open rates and deliverability is, so that you know that your email is actually reaching your subscribers and your prospects. The next one is open rate. So, once it's actually delivered into inbox, the next step is to really make sure that folks are actually opening your email. So with this is the percentage at which people are actually opening it once it reaches your inbox. And again, a very important metric, because it indicates really how well your subject and your body and the body of your emails are. So you want to make sure that you're crafting great subjects, including, and then also within your emails, you can also create preview text. So not only can your subscribers see your subject, but also your preview text that goes right under your subject in an inbox. You want to make sure that those are crafted in a very compelling way, and your open rate can indicate how well you're doing in that space. Okay. Next would be click-through rate. So your click-through rate is the percentage of people that actually click on your call to actions. So within your emails, you'll have different buttons or links, and we suggest being very direct and concise with those. And if folks are actually clicking on those, that's your click-through rate. And it's a great indication on how well you're crafting your call to actions, but also how well your audience is responding to your emails as well. So you want to make sure you're measuring your click-through rate as well. And then lastly, your unsubscribes. So these are folks that are actually opting out of your email lists. You want to make sure that you're actually paying attention to that as well, because depending on the length of time, so let's say you have someone who subscribed with you and then they unsubscribed over the course of 3 months. That's an indication to understand the life cycle of your subscriber. And you want to make sure you're expanding that as long as possible. So how often you're communicating to your audience can be a reason that drives unsubscribes. The relevance of your emails could be another one. How you're grouping your emails as well is extremely important. So these are all statistics that I encourage you to monitor. And then in all of these platforms, they're actually built in. So if you're selecting platforms for your email marketing, a lot of these statistics are already there and monitored for you. It's just a matter of you actually going in and checking them and actually doing the analysis. So these are all kind of steps and KPIs we encourage you to look at as well.
Hi, my name is Robin,
Hey, Ron.
and hi, I have a question. I just wanted to know, for the A/B testing when you do emails,
Yeah.
how do you actually identify? Um, is that based on grouping, or how do you? I know A/B testing or beta testing when you
Mhm.
have a product or a service, but how? Can you just explain a little bit more the A/B testing when you have emails, or do you have to then group them like you mentioned later on into having special groups so that
Sure.
I just needed some clarification on that.
Of course, of course. Thank you for your question. No, that's a great one. So my recommendation when doing email marketing A/B testing is to actually create those different tags. So in a lot of these different platforms, and I'm going to go back to Mailchimp again because it's what
Yes.
we use at T10. You have the ability to actually tag your emails and label them. So what you can do as a way to facilitate that A/B testing is to first kind of define the grouping. So you want to create those multiple lists, right? So
Hmm.
folks that kind of fit within certain categories, and I'll go back to the example of like new subscribers versus reoccurring customers, things like that.
Okay.
Group those, and then as you're sending your emails, you can actually tag them. So you can say, test group A or test
Okay.
group B, and then as you're tagging your emails to those different groups, you can then go back and then see the actual performance of those in that group. So
Okay.
Mailchimp actually facilitates a lot of that for you as
Right.
long as you do the tagging up front. So, let's say you have an email subscriber list of 100 and it's split evenly between new signups and old signups. So you can experiment between the two languages there, add the tag so that you can always kind of go back to it and then look at the statistics. So like the click-through rate, the
Hmm.
open rate. And that way you can kind of see what's working. And then let's say you find out that your open rate for your new subscribers is much less than your old. It could just mean that you have more loyalty in your more long-standing subscribers, but also could be something deeper about the language that you're using. So you want to make sure that you're kind of playing around with the different types of subject lines, call to actions, and then as you're doing that, just make sure that you're applying the appropriate tags so that they're grouped, and that way you can kind of really do perform the testing in a
Okay.
more
So it's
efficient
all
way.
about the tags when
Yeah,
you,
tags and grouping. Yep.
because I have Mailchimp. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Hi, my name is Robin,
Hey, Ron.
and hi, I have a question. I just wanted to know, for the A/B testing when you do emails,
Yeah.
how do you actually identify? Um, is that based on grouping, or how do you? I know A/B testing or beta testing when you
Mhm.
have a product or a service, but how? Can you just explain a little bit more the A/B testing when you have emails, or do you have to then group them like you mentioned later on into having special groups so that
Sure.
I just needed some clarification on that.
Of course, of course. Thank you for your question. No, that's a great one. So my recommendation when doing email marketing A/B testing is to actually create those different tags. So in a lot of these different platforms, and I'm going to go back to Mailchimp again because it's what
Yeah.
we use at T10. You have the ability to actually tag your emails and label them. So what you can do as a way to facilitate that A/B testing is to first kind of define the grouping. So you want to create those multiple lists, right? So
Hmm.
folks that kind of fit within certain categories, and I'll go back to the example of like new subscribers versus reoccurring customers, things like that. Group those, and then as you're sending your emails, you can actually tag them. So you can say, test group A or test group B, and then as you're tagging your emails to those different groups, you can then go back and then see the actual performance of those in that group. So Mailchimp actually facilitates a lot of that for you,
Right.
as long as you do the tagging up front. So let's say you have an email subscriber list of 100, and it's split evenly between new signups and old signups. So you can experiment between the two languages there, add the tag so that you can always kind of go back to it, and then look at the statistics. So like the click-through rate, the
Hmm.
open rate. And that way you can kind of see what's working. And then let's say you find out that your open rate for your new subscribers is much less than your old. It could just mean that you have more loyalty in your in your more long-standing subscribers, but also could be something deeper about the language that you're using. So you want to make sure that you're kind of playing around with the different types of subject lines, call to actions, and then as you're doing that, just make sure that you're applying the appropriate tags so that they're grouped, and that way you can kind of really do perform the testing in a
Okay,
more
so it's
efficient
all
way.
about the tags when
Yeah,
you're,
tags and grouping. Yep.
because I have Mailchimp. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi. This is Terry Wisdom from Harlem Network News. And I wanted to just find out what you think is one of the best like email programs. I'm in constant contact and I'm not really happy with them.
Okay,
Yeah, and some of it is that there are a lot of other things that I need to do.
sure.
But what do you see as the best? And some of them get put to like not spam, but
Mhm.
to because out of Gmail how they have the different tiers, so
Yeah,
they might get put to something that a person is not going to see like right away when they open their email. They may have to look for it. So
okay.
I think that's something to avoid, and how to avoid that. And then what are thoughts, because I'm not necessarily selling a product. I do have a sponsor
Mhm.
that's selling a product, but what might be a good way to do, like, let's say a weekly newsletter? What platform? Because that might be helpful too.
No, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
thank you.
yeah, no, a great question. So I'll start with your first one, which is around platforms. So yeah, Constant Contact I know is it's a staple. It's been around for a while. I haven't used it personally, but I do have experience with both Mailchimp and HubSpot. So I would recommend Mailchimp if you're looking for something new, and something that can give you. They have a lot of great templates in there as well. They're free. They have a free option, so you can kind of start free to test it out. Use the different platforms they have available, and then also we can connect offline. There's also great stylistic tools like a Canva or Adobe that gives you the graphics you'll need to kind of put into the emails. Um, and then from that, they also gives you a lot of statistics. So from an email perspective, I would recommend Mailchimp to start. Now, if you're also have other marketing efforts that are going along at the same time, HubSpot is a great platform that's almost like your whole customer relationship management platform. They do everything from email communication. They're really good when it comes to monitoring, grouping, and testing and analytics, and then they actually connect to other platforms as well. So they have a lot of integrations with Gmail, Microsoft products. So if you use like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, things like that, Publisher. They also analytics stuff like Power BI. HubSpot is a great kind of I would call it more of an enterprise software that also has a free option too to start. and it's a great way to kind of build out your effort more, and it actually gets into more detail. So Mailchimp is more on the stylistic side. I would say HubSpot has templates, but it really takes the analysis to the next level. And
So is it possible to use, or would you recommend using both Mailchimp and HubSpot simultaneously?
you could, because HubSpot doesn't just act as a email marketing platform, it's more. So you could use both. I would say try out Mailchimp, and then you can try HubSpot as well, kind of experiment with them because they're both free to start, and see kind of what works. I think Mailchimp is a great way to get the templates in and also just craft the emails. But then once you build a certain cadence and you established a good routine, HubSpot can be used as a way to kind of really get into the analytics more and then build out more of your marketing suite.
Okay, thank you so much, because I mean, this is an area that I really need to focus on. I mean, I have great content on my show, great people,
Mm-hmm.
but in terms of reach and, the breakdown of,
Yeah.
how I'm doing, those are areas that I'm weak in. And it's almost like you pretty much almost have to spend 50% of time doing that because, so
Yeah.
thank you.
No, of
Okay.
course. And I think
All
you had
right.
another question about like cadence and making sure your emails are in the inbox. I would say, yeah, I would say, focus in on the type of, the subject lines that you're using, and also how often you're communicating with your audience, because you might find that by switching it up a little bit might really benefit you, but also grouping them in different categories as well. And some of the using platforms like this will give you some of the data behind it to understand kind of what's working, what's not. And I understand, I think you're a news network, right? So, things like whether you have a new post, a new article, a new topic, a new piece of content. I think those are great. That's a great kind of one type of email example you can use. So anytime there's new content, you can do a new content type of summary, and then having kind of like a weekly roundup, like every Thursday or Friday, some kind of weekly roundup that summarizes all of the content that you guys are pushing out, could be another great tactic. And a lot of these platforms will have templates that are similar to that concept that you can use.
Okay, thank you so much. And I don't know if I framed the question right,
Okay.
but I don't know, for some reason, Constant Contact doesn't, when they're getting out the emails and I need to deal with them on this, I don't know that it's going like right where it jumps on someone's email,
Okay.
and it's maybe because I have Gmail, and how Gmail will make you look at like, oh, the social media or the promotions. You know what I'm saying? And a lot
Yeah.
of people don't always look at that. So, it's like a question of how do you get it like in the straight email? Because if people have Gmail, they're going to have to look at those back channels.
Yeah, no, I think a lot. So we can connect offline to kind of figure out kind of, I would be interested in seeing some examples. So when we do connect, we can kind of talk through it in more detail. But I would say a lot of the filtering up front is also in contact to how users are consuming your content, so your audience, but then also like how your emails are written. So depending on the style of it, like the all caps or exclamation points, some of that can kind of trigger different things and put into certain buckets. But with the specific promotions or social, I'd have to do a little more research to kind of see exactly what kind of how you're writing your emails, and then I can kind of give you some maybe more direct feedback.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, because this is an area I really got to just pay attention to now.
Yeah,
So
of course,
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
I stepped away for a second, but I don't know if you answered this question about frequency. How often you should be reaching out via these, like mail, like we use Mailchimp for Harlem Park to Park, and there's so much content that I have, but I'm always worried about like sending out more than one email a week, or like should I be, or just I don't know if other people deal with that, but like I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Definitely. So in doing some research ahead of this, it was actually found that, and again, this was more of a generic statistic, but they say that Tuesdays in the morning, so like 11 a.m. are like a great time to send emails, and shows like the best response rate or open rate. But I would say it's very specific to your brand and your business. So, weekly emails, I think, are a great strategy. So having some type of weekly cadence that is transparent with your audience that they can expect is a great tool, because then they're expecting that email. There's almost some anticipation. There's some predictability with it. So you're building kind of loyalty, expectation, and consistency with your audience. So some type of weekly cadence that you can stick to is a great tactic to grow more response, more click-through rate, and more conversion. And then I would say once you've established your weekly cadence, and depending on what time of week is best for you, Tuesdays in the morning could be great. Thursday mornings, Friday mornings could be great. Then after you get that weekly cadence, then I would say when there's events. So if you have a new product launch, or if you have a new piece of content that's coming out, or a new article, or an announcement, I would try to layer those on top. So I would start with like a weekly cadence, and then ones that are specific to an event or a product launch or a new piece of content. And then based on that and how you're performing, you can kind of see where you can maybe drive it up a notch. But I would say a great way to start is there weekly, and then anything specific to news. You can maybe announcing a new partnership or a new deal, a
Okay.
new product launch or something like that.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, because for Part to Park, I thought if we did like a Tuesday, this just kind of very like general, and then a Thursday that's like very specific, like you said, either an event or a promotion that a business is doing, so
Yeah.
that people start to know that, oh, the Thursday e-blast is this, the Tuesday is that, and then not for like, oh my God, they emailed us twice, but it's like different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
And that way you're building that consistency.
yeah.
And then I would also say your email list too. So you won't wear down your subscribers if every email that they get is relevant. So if you're in most cases, your weekly should be everybody, but then if you have specific things that are unique to, let's say, people who just joined, you
Right.
can save that for like a Thursday or a Friday. And then if it's someone that's been with the organization for a while, and then you have something new, some new offering, or like a cohort that's coming up, that could be on your Thursday or Friday as well.
I forgot too, like I know within Mailchimp, you just made me think about this. I
Mhm.
haven't had the capacity to do it, but like you can segment your audience. So like sending
Exactly.
out, emails that are very specific to, you want to promote something for women, or you want to promote something
Exactly.
for parents with kids or whatever. Not everybody has to get every email, which would help too with the unsubscribes for people that feel like they're getting content that's not relevant. And I'm terrible at that. I haven't segmented our email list, which we have a massive email list. And I know, once you guys, just for the record, everyone, I've just hired these guys to take over Harlem Park to Park. So you're going to see much improvement in our social media and e-blast soon. But there's like, I don't know, I think our opt-in list is like 9,000 subscribers. So I don't even know how to begin segmenting that.
Yeah.
But like, I know we're missing the opportunity to get to be speak very directly to particular audiences,
Mhm.
and create content for those different groups.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited for you guys to dig in and start figuring all that out for me, because there's so many levels to it. There's such a level of sophistication you can get to
Mhm.
if you have the bandwidth and capacity to do so.
Yeah.
It's exciting learning all this. At the same time, it's just like, this is a full-time job. I just keep saying it over and over again. It's hard to do this as a side thing. And I know, Terry, you expressed that as well, to just find time on the side. It can't be a side thing anymore. It
Yeah.
just isn't. And so that's what's really hard, because we still have to run our business, but this is like a huge part of it now. So anyway, that's helpful to hear.
Yeah. I would encourage. Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity as well. But yeah, I think just getting it in. I think a big piece of that too is the opt-in form, right? So once folks are subscribing, having some type of interactive opt-in form that gives you some of that relevant data at the very, very beginning, so that you have everything you need to segment it later.
Segment, yeah.
Yeah. So like your name, your email, your company, maybe your geography, your interests, something like that, couple questions. And from there, you're able to really segment it so that you're giving them the most relevant content. But yeah, there's creative ways to do that even after they've subscribed. So yeah, there are definitely ways to look into that for sure.
Great.
Yeah. This is Terry. Thank you so much, Nicola. That's why I need to hire you all as well, because I just can't do it. And, I can't sleep well because I can't do it all. So, I'm just thinking like every morning, every night, in my dreams, like, how can I? So, yeah, it needs to happen. But also, what are good ways to, expand our email list? Because it might even be that all of us on the call with different things can share, because we're a lot of us, not everybody, I wouldn't make that assumption, we're in the same community. And it's kind of like, the information that gets pushed out in our community in particular is so important. That's why we have Harlem Network News. That's why it's great we have a Park to Park, and other things, because there's so much information that we don't get, and it's vital information. Like, I don't know, yesterday, I'm on the community board 10, but something came across where there's going, and I'm going to say it on here, where like there's going to be reductions in broadband costs for certain people, and I pushed it out, but like, I don't know that people look at their stuff or everybody's going to know it, and that's like vital. There's like vital information that is life-changing for our community. So, I'm looking for ways to get more people on my list, to reach more people, and to work collaboratively with others, like a Park to Park or other people on this call, because I think if we work collaboratively, our communities are going to be better and our lives are going to be better because of it.
Most
So,
definitely.
thank you.
Yeah, most definitely. No, that's a great point. And I think it ties back to that lead magnet we talked about a little earlier. So a great way to increase that email list and increase your subscribers is by creating some type of lead magnet or like offering. And it doesn't have to be necessarily something monetary or in product, but it can be, let me see if I can go back to the slide here. It could be something that almost looks like this, like, like it could be something interactive where it says, leading you in through a compelling headline and then getting you to kind of engage into some type of quiz or something like that, that results in you growing your email list and adding a new subscriber. So it's kind of like, tying back into that where, get something in reverse, but it's another kind of creative kind of thing you can send out that will, people could say, okay, that's interesting. It only takes 15 seconds to fill out. Let me fill it out. And in those 15 seconds, you get information about that can help you segment to do more specific marketing. And then also can hopefully get you a subscriber as well.
Well, thank you so much, because I know, and I'm not sure like how they do it, but I think it's effective. I don't know if other people get this, but there's like a kind of newspaper thing, Harlem Patch, and they send something like every morning at like 6:30.
Yeah.
And you may not look at it, but if it's something that looks interesting by what they're saying, you're definitely going to click on it. It's the first thing you see when you wake up. And they obviously have broad reach. Don't even know if they're from Harlem, but it's like, that's the kind of reach, I need to get. I'm not sure how to get that, and I think that should be like something we're working on collectively, like in our workshop and in the people that are on here, because I know we all need that in order to really march forward. So we should think about how we can collectively share, our contacts or, something like that, maybe. Thank you.
Yeah. Harlem Patch is actually a great example, because I'm actually subscribed to them too. So I get their emails first thing in the morning as well. And it's one of those things where I expect it. And so I don't find it to be too much. And I usually click on it just to see if any of the articles are relevant to me. Might click on one or two. Otherwise, I might just delete it. But another good example. Yeah, and I think it's something that's relevant to this discussion that we can maybe apply moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? I'm Annabelle.
Hey, Annabelle.
Uh, so I have customers who have purchased products on my website,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't necessarily opt in to my newsletter.
Okay.
So am I able to email them without asking them first to opt into the newsletter?
You can email them. So yeah, you can email them. That wouldn't be like any kind of compliance flag or anything like that. I would say the best tactic in a situation like that would be to say, hey, we noticed you bought this. You might like this one, or we haven't seen you in a while. Something to that degree. But you can email them. They wouldn't until they opt in. They wouldn't be a subscriber per se, but that doesn't prevent you or prohibit you from emailing them. No. So you can go ahead.
So, so in terms of like putting them on, I use Klaviyo.
Okay.
So would I be able to just include them into, like, do I add them to the people who have opted in, or should I separate them?
So I'm not too familiar with that platform, but you should have the ability to create like a new list. And what I would do is I would actually bucket customers that fit that type of category. So folks that haven't necessarily opted in but bought product, you can kind of put them into one list, and actually would be great because when you communicate to them, the type of language can be very consistent and relevant to them because it can be, hey, we noticed that you purchased something, join our newsletter and get 5% off your next item or something like that. But yeah, but I would suggest creating kind of a new segment for them, but I'm not too
So
familiar with the platform, so I'm not sure how it works.
yeah, but
Case.
should the goal still be to get them to opt into the newsletter?
Yes, that would be my suggestion. Because yeah, if conversion is a huge importance, and they've already done that, you succeeded. In that case, since they've already bought something, I'm sure that they overlooked the opt-in. So I would encourage them to opt in. That way, you can build them into your actual email list. So yes, yeah, I would encourage you to do so.
But it's not illegal to email them at this point because they are our customer.
Yeah, no, not illegal. You shouldn't be flagged by any type of compliance issues. No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. If we're good, then I know we're a little earlier today, but I'm glad we got a lot of Q&A in. But again, thank you everyone for joining today. I hope this conversation was helpful. Look out for the materials and the videos that will be available on Harlem Park to Parks YouTube channel and also T10's YouTube channel once we're able to kind of take it down and edit it. And the materials will be sent out as well. And thank you again for everyone joining. We do appreciate the participation as always, and we look forward to our next session.